Are you ready for a change? Ready to take control of your own life? Too often we find ourselves pointing fingers, blaming others for where we are, for the choices we've made, or the circumstances we find ourselves in. But the truth is, blaming others gets you nowhere. The power to change, the power to grow, and the power to create a better future lies within you. Imagine a life where you take full responsibility for your actions, your choices, and your growth. How empowering would that be? In the next 15 minutes, let's talk about how to stop blaming others and start focusing on improving yourself. Blame is a powerful force, but not in the way you might think. It has this subtle ability to make us feel justified in our struggles, as though it's not our fault that we're stuck or unhappy. And yet, blame is the very thing that keeps us from moving forward. We blame others for how we feel, for the things that went wrong, for the opportunities we missed, and for the circumstances that left us feeling lost. The problem with blame is that it's a mental prison we put ourselves in, believing that someone else holds the key to our happiness and success. Think about it. How many times have you blamed someone else for your failures? A boss who didn't promote you, a friend who betrayed you, a partner who didn't support you the way you expected. You tell yourself, if only they had treated me better, I would have been successful. But here's the truth, blaming others for your shortcomings doesn't change anything. It only holds you back from realizing your potential. It's as if you're giving them permission to control your life, when in reality, the only one who can control your life is you. You may feel the sting of being overlooked, of being treated unfairly, of facing setbacks that seem beyond your control. It's easy to point fingers when life doesn't go as planned. But what if I told you that your power lies not in blaming others, but in shifting your mindset? What if instead of saying, this person made my life difficult, you started saying, how can I grow from this? What if instead of playing the victim, you decided to become the hero of your own story? Let me tell you a story. I know someone who was stuck in a job they hated for years. Every day they complained about their boss, their co-workers, the lack of opportunity, and how unfair life was. They spent years blaming the circumstances, waiting for someone else to come along and change their life. One day they realized something. The world wasn't going to change for them. They couldn't wait for someone to hand them success. They had to change themselves. And so, they took action. They started learning new skills, they networked with the right people, and they took small steps each day to improve themselves. Did things get easier immediately? No. But did they start moving forward? Absolutely. They stopped blaming the world and began taking responsibility for their own future. Blame is a trap. It's a comfortable excuse we use to avoid the hard work of self-improvement. But when you step away from blame, you step into power. It's a power that comes from within, a power that doesn't need validation from others. The moment you stop blaming the circumstances and people around you, you realize that the only thing standing between you and your goals is you. Take a moment to think about your life. How often do you blame the world for your struggles? Do you blame your upbringing, your financial situation, or the people who have hurt you? Understand this, no one else has control over your happiness except you. You have the ability to rise above any situation, to learn from every experience, and to forge your path despite the obstacles in your way. Here's a simple yet profound truth. What's happened in your life doesn't define you. What you choose to do with it does. Life is about how you respond to what happens to you. If you choose to blame, you remain stuck in a loop of negativity and missed opportunities. But if you choose to learn, to grow, and to move forward, despite the odds, you begin to unlock your true power. Take responsibility for your actions, your choices, and your emotions. Don't let anyone else dictate your worth or your future. And when the next challenge comes your way, don't blame the world. Look inward. Ask yourself, what can I do to improve? What can I learn from this? How can I rise above it? That's where true growth happens. Not in blaming others, but in building yourself up brick by brick until you become the person you were always meant to be. Blame is an illusion. The real power comes from taking ownership of your life. Only then will you truly begin to create the future you deserve. There comes a point in every person's life when they have to make a choice. Will they continue to live in the shadows of their circumstances? Or will they step into the light of their own power? Too often, we let fear, doubt, and outside influences dictate the course of our lives. We wait for permission to be great, for someone to notice us, or for an opportunity to fall into our laps. But the truth is, you have everything you need to create the life you've always dreamed of within you right now. The only thing holding you back is the belief that someone or something else has control over your destiny. You are not powerless. You are not a bystander in your own story. The power to shape your life, to change your circumstances, and to rise above any challenge lies within you. But here's the catch. You have to own it. Owning your power means taking full responsibility for your life. It means realizing that no one else can make decisions for you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your boss, and certainly not your past. The choices you make today will create the future you live tomorrow. And that future is in your hands. Think about the most successful people you admire. Are they just lucky? Were they born with a silver spoon in their mouth? No. They all have one thing in common. They owned their power. They took control of their lives, even when the world told them they weren't good enough, talented enough, or deserving enough. They didn't wait for permission to pursue their dreams. They didn't let fear stop them. They decided, I will not be a victim of my circumstances. I will be the creator of my future. And that's exactly what they did. I want you to reflect on a time when you felt truly powerful. Maybe it was a moment when you stood up for yourself in a difficult situation, when you made a bold decision, or when you faced a fear that had been holding you back for years. That feeling of empowerment, of knowing you can handle whatever life throws your way. That is the feeling of owning your power. But here's the thing. You don't need to wait for that perfect moment. Every single day, you have the chance to step into your power. Every decision you make, every action you take, brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. Let's talk about a real-life example. Think about someone who's struggling to build a career, maybe someone just like you. They're in a job they hate, working long hours, feeling underappreciated, and wondering if they'll ever break through. The temptation is strong to blame external factors, poor leadership, unfair treatment, lack of opportunity. And while these things may be true, the only way to break free is to own your power. One person I know worked at a dead-end job for years, feeling stuck and frustrated. She could have spent her entire life blaming the system, complaining about her boss, or hoping for a miracle. But instead, she chose to own her power. She started learning new skills in her free time, networking with people in her field, and looking for ways to add value wherever she could. It wasn't easy. It wasn't instant. But eventually, her persistence paid off. She was offered a promotion and a better job that aligned with her passions. She didn't wait for someone else to give her permission to rise. She took action and created her own opportunities. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for her, but what about me? Well, I'm here to tell you, your power is just as real. You have the same ability to create your future, to take control of your destiny, and to build a life you love. The only difference is whether or not you're willing to step up and claim it. Owning your power means deciding to stop playing small, stop hiding behind excuses, and start living life on your own terms. The world is full of distractions. There will always be people who try to tell you who you are or what you can't do. But remember, they don't know you like you know you. You are the only one who can truly define your worth. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait for a sign. Step into your power today. Own it, embrace it, and watch how your life transforms. You've got this. Setbacks. They feel like the universe is throwing obstacles in your path, testing your patience, and challenging your will to continue. It's in these moments that you feel like everything you've worked for is slipping through your fingers. The temptation to blame others, or worse, blame yourself, is overwhelming. Why did this happen to me, you might ask? Why does it seem so easy for everyone else? But what if I told you that setbacks aren't roadblocks at all? They're stepping stones. They are the universe's way of preparing you for something greater. The secret lies in learning from them instead of letting them defeat you. Think about a time when you faced a setback in your life. Maybe you lost a job, failed at something you tried, or experienced a personal loss. In that moment, it felt like the world was crumbling beneath you, right? It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming the circumstances, blaming someone else, or even blaming yourself. It's the natural response. But let me ask you, did staying in that place of blame help you move forward? Did it change the outcome? Of course not. Blaming only keeps you stuck, tied to the past, unable to move forward. Now, imagine if instead of pointing fingers or spiraling into a cycle of self-doubt, you decided to change your perspective. What if you took a step back and asked yourself, what can I learn from this? What is this setback trying to teach me? This shift in mindset is the difference between remaining stagnant and moving forward with newfound wisdom and strength. Setbacks are not punishments. They are lessons in disguise. Take, for example, the story of Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb. Edison famously failed thousands of times before he succeeded. Yet, he never saw his failures as failures. Instead, he saw them as experiments, each one bringing him closer to his goal. In fact, when asked about his countless failures, Edison said, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset of someone who understands the power of learning from setbacks. Edison didn't blame his circumstances or give up. He didn't waste time dwelling on what went wrong. He adjusted, learned, and moved forward, making him one of the most successful inventors in history. You see, setbacks are not an indicator that you should stop trying. They are an opportunity for growth. When life doesn't go according to plan, that's when your true strength is tested. It's easy to feel motivated and confident when everything is going well, but it's in the tough times, the moments when things don't work out, that your character is shaped. This is where your ability to rise comes from. Let's talk about another example. A friend of mine who struggled with a failed business venture. She poured her heart and soul into it, invested time and money, and it still didn't work. The natural inclination was to blame the market, the economy, or the people around her. But instead, she took a different approach. She looked at what went wrong, not as a failure, but as a lesson. She analyzed her mistakes, sought feedback from others, and even took a step back to evaluate whether she had been truly passionate about the business idea in the first place. What she learned from that setback is that sometimes you need to pivot, sometimes you need to listen to your inner voice more closely, and sometimes you need to fail in order to learn how to truly succeed. She used that knowledge to start another venture, and this time it took off. This is the power of learning from setbacks. It's not just about the external circumstances or the people who may have contributed to the situation. It's about how you respond to them. It's about realizing that each setback is a signpost on your journey, pointing you in the right direction. Every time you fall, you have the chance to rise higher, with more wisdom, more resilience, and more drive than before. So stop blaming. Stop holding on to the past. Every setback is a chance to reinvent yourself, to become better, to understand what doesn't work and adjust your approach. The greatest successes in history came from those who faced the harshest setbacks, the ones who learned from their mistakes, refined their skills, and kept moving forward, no matter how many times they fell. That's the key. That's the secret to turning setbacks into success. Investing in yourself is the most powerful and transformative thing you can do in your life. But too often we hold back, waiting for the right moment, waiting for validation, waiting for someone to tell us it's okay. We spend money, time, and energy on other things, on material possessions, on others, on temporary pleasures. But when it comes to investing in our own growth, we hesitate. We convince ourselves that it's too expensive, too time-consuming, or that we don't deserve it. But let me tell you something. There is no greater investment than the one you make in yourself. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you invested in something that didn't pay off? Maybe you bought a product that you thought would improve your life, but ended up collecting dust on a shelf. Or perhaps you gave your time and energy to a project or a relationship that left you feeling drained and unfulfilled. Now, imagine if you took that same time, that same energy, and poured it into growing, learning, and becoming the best version of yourself. What would that look like? What would your life look like if you invested in your own potential, your dreams, and your future? Take a moment to reflect on your own life. How often do you invest in your personal growth? I'm not talking about buying new clothes or gadgets or taking expensive vacations, although those things are fine too. I'm talking about the intangible investments. The investments that don't show immediate returns, but change the course of your life in ways you can't even imagine. I'm talking about investing in your education, in your health, in your skills, and in your mental and emotional well-being. Look at someone like Serena Williams. She didn't just become the best tennis player in the world by showing up at tournaments. She invested years of relentless practice, training, and mental conditioning to master her craft. She understood that to be the best, she had to invest not only her time, but her heart and soul into her growth. She didn't wait for the world to tell her she was worthy of success. She decided she was worthy, and she worked tirelessly to make it happen. Investing in yourself doesn't always require money, but it does require effort, discipline, and a willingness to be uncomfortable. One of the most powerful forms of investment is education. Whether it's formal education, learning a new skill, or simply reading books and listening to podcasts that inspire you, knowledge is an investment that always pays dividends. When you invest in knowledge, you're not just learning facts and figures, you're expanding your horizons, opening doors to new opportunities, and setting yourself up for long-term success. A friend of mine once decided to invest in learning a new language. She was already successful in her career, but she knew that adding another language would open up even more opportunities. It wasn't easy. There were days when she felt frustrated, when the words wouldn't stick, when her confidence wavered. But she didn't give up. She made that investment in herself, even when it felt hard. And today she's been promoted to a global position in her company, traveling to different countries, building international relationships, all because she chose to invest in her growth. But investing in yourself isn't just about acquiring skills. It's also about taking care of your body and your mind. Your physical and mental health are your most valuable assets. If you neglect them, everything else will fall apart. You don't have to spend hours at the gym or do extreme things to take care of yourself. Small, consistent habits, like getting enough sleep, eating nourishing foods, and practicing mindfulness can make a huge difference. When you feel good physically, your energy and confidence skyrocket. And when you feel good mentally, you approach challenges with a clear mind, a resilient spirit, and the belief that you can handle anything that comes your way. Another way to invest in yourself is by surrounding yourself with people who lift you up. The people you spend time with shape your mindset, your beliefs, and your actions. Invest in relationships that empower you, challenge you, and encourage you to be the best version of yourself. Let go of toxic people who drain your energy or hold you back. You're worth more than that. The right people will inspire you to keep going even when the road gets tough. They'll help you stay focused on your goals and remind you of your worth when you forget. Investing in yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Every day that you delay investing in your growth is a day lost. Think about how much more you could accomplish if you decided to put yourself first. To stop waiting for someone else's approval or permission to go after your dreams. The time to invest in yourself is now. You don't need anyone else's approval. You don't need anyone to tell you that you're worthy. You are worthy right now. All you need is to decide that you're ready to take control of your future and start making investments in yourself. Because the truth is, no one else will do it for you. Taking responsibility for your choices is the first step in becoming the person you were meant to be. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming the circumstances, the people around you, or even the universe itself when things don't go as planned. But here's the hard truth. If you don't take responsibility for your choices, you're giving up your power. You're letting life happen to you instead of shaping it into what you want it to be. The moment you decide to take full responsibility for your choices is the moment you step into your true power. It doesn't matter if the situation you're in feels unfair or if you feel like you've been dealt a bad hand. You are the author of your own story. It's your actions, your decisions, and your mindset that will shape your future, not anyone else's. I'll tell you a story of a woman who faced enormous challenges but took full responsibility for her life and turned everything around. She came from a broken home with no financial support, no mentors, and no roadmap for success. She worked multiple jobs just to make ends meet. But instead of complaining about her circumstances, she chose to take responsibility for her future. She understood that while she couldn't change her past, she had full control over her present and future. So, she decided to take action. She enrolled in evening classes to improve her skills. She started reading books that helped her grow. And she began investing her time and energy into making better choices. At first, it wasn't easy. She had setbacks, times when it felt like things weren't moving forward. But she never blamed anyone or anything. She simply asked herself, what can I do today to move closer to where I want to be? By taking responsibility for her decisions, she found that even the smallest choices made a big difference. She became more confident, more focused, and more determined. Her efforts paid off, and eventually she built a successful career that gave her the freedom to live the life she had always dreamed of. You see, taking responsibility for your choices means acknowledging that you have the power to change your circumstances. It means that when things go wrong, you don't point fingers at others. Instead, you reflect on what you could have done differently and learn from the experience. Life will always present challenges, but how you respond to them is what truly matters. Consider the story of a man who lost his job. It would have been easy for him to blame his boss, the economy, or his colleagues for the situation. But instead of wallowing in self-pity, he took full responsibility for his career trajectory. He recognized that there were areas where he could improve. Maybe he hadn't put in the effort, or perhaps he hadn't kept his skills up to date. He didn't make excuses. He started networking, taking new courses, and reaching out to people in his industry. In a short period of time, he landed a better job, one that gave him more fulfillment and a better work-life balance. Taking responsibility is not about blaming yourself or feeling guilty. It's about owning your actions and understanding that you hold the key to change. The moment you take responsibility for your choices, you break free from the chains of victimhood. You stop waiting for someone else to fix your problems. Instead, you empower yourself to create your own solutions. Think about the way you make decisions. How often do you allow external factors to dictate your choices? Maybe you stay in a job you hate because you're afraid of change. Or perhaps you stay in a relationship that isn't serving you because you're afraid of being alone. Every time you make a decision based on fear or outside pressure, you give away your power. You are letting other people or circumstances make decisions for you. But when you take responsibility for your choices, you reclaim your power. You start making decisions based on what's best for you, not on what others think or what society expects. You trust yourself enough to make choices that align with your values and your goals. This shift in mindset is transformative. When you stop playing the blame game and start taking full responsibility, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. Instead, you become the creator of your destiny. It's time to take ownership of your choices. No matter how difficult or uncomfortable it may seem, your decisions shape your life. So the next time you face a setback, instead of blaming the world, look inward. Ask yourself, what role did I play in this? What can I learn from this? And most importantly, what action can I take right now to change the course of my life? By doing this, you will take back your power and set yourself on the path to the life you deserve. We all hear the phrase, be the change you seek in the world. But how many of us truly embody this idea? How many of us look around and complain about the way things are, about the injustice, the inequality, the negativity, but fail to realize that the power to change everything begins with us? It's easy to point fingers, to blame the system, to criticize others, but the truth is, change starts within. If you want to see a shift in the world, you have to begin by shifting yourself. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. How many times have you wished things were different? Maybe you've wished for more peace in your community, more kindness in your workplace, or for people to be more genuine and authentic. You see all the things that need to change, but are you willing to change yourself first? If we wait for the world to change on its own, we might wait forever. But when we decide to be the change we seek, everything shifts. both within and around us. Think about someone like Mahatma Gandhi. He lived through a time of immense struggle and strife. India was under British rule and the people were oppressed. The injustice and the inequality were glaring. Gandhi could have easily complained, blamed the government, or fought fire with fire. But instead, he chose a different path. He decided that if he wanted to see peace, justice, and freedom, he had to embody those values first. He became the change he sought. Through non-violent resistance, through compassion and courage, he led a revolution. Not by forcing others to change, but by changing himself. He led by example, and in doing so inspired millions to follow his lead. Another powerful example comes from the life of a young woman I know. She worked in an office environment where negativity ran rampant. Gossip, backstabbing, and drama were constant. It would have been easy for her to join in, to complain, or to fall into the same toxic behavior. But she chose a different route. She decided that if she wanted the environment to change, she had to be the one to initiate the change. She made a conscious effort to be kind, to encourage others, and to foster a sense of unity. Instead of engaging in gossip, she created space for honest, supportive conversations. She focused on collaboration rather than competition. Over time, people around her started to shift their behavior as well. Her actions inspired others to be better. She became the catalyst for a positive transformation simply by embodying the qualities she wanted to see in others. The truth is, if you want the world to change, you first have to be willing to change yourself. When you look around and see problems, ask yourself, what can I do differently? It's not enough to just want change. You have to be the change. If you want more love, start by being more loving. If you want more respect, start by respecting yourself and others. If you want honesty, be honest first. The world doesn't change through words alone. It changes through actions. The concept of be the change you seek doesn't just apply to grand world-changing movements. It's about the daily choices you make, the way you show up in the world, and the energy you bring to every situation. If you want to see positivity, start spreading positivity. If you want to see people lift each other up, be the person who lifts others. If you want to see more empathy, begin by practicing empathy in your own life. Your small actions might seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but the truth is, they are powerful. Every action ripples out and touches the people around you, creating a ripple effect of change that has the potential to transform everything. When you embody the change you wish to see, you inspire others to do the same. Change is contagious. When you make a choice to live with integrity, to lead with kindness, or to stand up for what's right, others will take notice. And before you know it, the world around you begins to shift. The power to change the world doesn't lie in the hands of politicians, celebrities, or world leaders. It lies in your hands. It starts with you. The moment you choose to live in alignment with the values you want to see, you become an agent of transformation. So what are you waiting for? If you want to see more respect, start by respecting yourself and others. If you want more kindness, lead with kindness. If you want more love, start by loving yourself and others unconditionally. The change you seek is already within you. You just have to choose to bring it to life. And in doing so, you will inspire others to do the same, creating a wave of transformation that starts with you and moves outward, touching the lives of everyone you encounter. Change is not something that happens to us. It is something that we make happen. It's time to step up, embody the change, and watch the world transform before your eyes. Empowering yourself through self-reflection is one of the most powerful tools you can wield in your life. It's the ability to look inward, to examine your thoughts, actions, and emotions with honesty and openness, and to use that insight to fuel your personal growth. But self-reflection is not always an easy path. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront the truths we often try to avoid. Yet, this process of introspection holds the key to unlocking your true potential. You've heard it before, the answers lie within you. But what does that really mean? It means that every challenge, every setback, every triumph, and every failure you experience is a reflection of your internal world. The way you react to situations, the way you treat others, and the way you view yourself all come from your inner beliefs, patterns, and attitudes. By taking the time to reflect on these elements, you gain a deeper understanding of who you truly are and how you can align your actions with your highest potential. Consider a woman I know who struggled with low self-esteem for years. She was constantly seeking validation from others, measuring her worth based on external approval. She spent years in unhealthy relationships, draining jobs, and negative friendships because she believed she needed someone or something outside herself to define her value. One day after a particularly painful breakup, she sat down alone and decided to reflect. She asked herself hard questions. Why do I keep finding myself in situations that hurt me? Why do I allow others to treat me poorly? What is it about me that makes me feel unworthy of love or respect? Through this process of self-reflection, she uncovered deep-seated beliefs and patterns from her childhood that had shaped her sense of self. She realized that her past experiences had created a distorted view of herself. But instead of staying stuck in self-pity or regret, she chose to take action. She started journaling, meditating, and working with a therapist to rewire her beliefs. The more she reflected, the more empowered she became to change her mindset and her life. Slowly but surely, she stopped seeking external validation and began nurturing herself from within. She learned to recognize her own worth, set healthy boundaries, and attract the love and respect she had always longed for. Self-reflection allows you to stop being a passive observer in your own life. You become an active participant, a creator rather than a reactor. Imagine if you approached every challenge as an opportunity for growth rather than something to fear or avoid. If you faced every mistake not as a failure but as a lesson, you'd begin to see yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as a powerful individual capable of transforming any situation. The ability to look at yourself honestly, without judgment, and learn from your experiences is what separates those who remain stuck in the past from those who create a future they truly desire. Think about the way you handle conflict. When things go wrong, whether in your personal life, career, or relationships, how do you react? Do you blame others, make excuses, or deny your part in the situation? Or do you pause, reflect, and take ownership of your actions? Self-reflection is not about blaming yourself. It's about understanding yourself. It's about recognizing that your choices, both